from Yahoo. Bronny James, LeBron James' 18-year-old son, suffered cardiac arrest. Here's what you need to know. I mean, that's basically the story. He was practicing. He had cardiac arrest. He was rushed to the hospital. It was very serious. He's in stable condition. He survived. The big news, however,
how old?
18.
Oh my God.
The big news outside of that is that here's the Daily Mail. Bronny James' cardiac arrest is linked to the COVID-19 vaccine Elon Musk suggests, saying, "We cannot ascribe everything to the vaccine, but by the same token, we cannot ascribe nothing," Musk wrote. Myocarditis is a known side effect. The only question is whether it is rare or common, Musk's tweet continued. I will just say this, as I always start videos like this, talk to your doctor about what's right for you. Find trusted medical professionals. A lot of people don't trust the medical system, but there are people out there who are good medical professionals you can trust just do the work. And the CDC says it is rare, myocarditis, but I wonder what you guys think about this whole thing.
Can I say one thing? It seems to me, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on with this issue. It seems to me that one of the big stresses where the demand was to get everyone as vaccinated as possible was to socialize risk. Because if everyone's invested and if bad things start to happen, we're all in this together. Whereas if you have one population and that population has consequences, then it's like, okay, it's happening to them. It's now there's going to be hell to pay.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, wait, you guys screwed up, people in Florida, you guys screwed up, maybe young people, whatever. If it's everybody, then it's kind of like you can't, it's like, that's how corporate systems work, bureaucracies work. If you distribute the consequences, then really no one's to blame.
But here's but that also created the perception of risk itself. So I'll say a few things. The CDC says that myocarditis is a rare side effect from the mRNA vaccine specifically. This is the CDC saying it.
Right.
Don't take my word for it. And myocarditis is listed as a cause, sometimes a cause of cardiac arrest in young athletic males. That would easily mean that sometimes people who get the COVID vaccine may suffer myocarditis, and that may result in cardiac arrest. I believe it's extremely rare. However, we gave out, as of October, that was the latest number I could find, 637 or some ridiculous number of vaccine doses. You give out that many. Let's say it's 1 in a million people who will get myocarditis. You're going to have 600 and some odd cases of myocarditis. Then you're going to hear a bunch of stories in the news, and people are going to assume many stories means it's happening all the time, when actually the same percentage of people are suffering a rare side effect.
Well, right. It's
But, if you really were going to have some trust in statistics, you would have hoped they would have used a control group in the quote unquote science, which they didn't. So we don't really know how many people and plus I don't trust their numbers anyway. Well, but I think that what happened to him is that global warming got him.
Oh yeah, but that's a good point.
Or white supremacy.
No, hold on.
Yeah, the stress of
both very big issues, but where are they at? It was 120 degrees in Las Vegas, so he was just so hot.
Right,
his heart was going crazy, pumping the heat. Actually, in all seriousness, though, when you're really hot, your heart pumps your blood like crazy to move the heat through your body. So
but he was hot, and then he saw some dudes from Saudi Arabia in the traditional garb. Thought it was KKK members, had a heart attack.
We're all joking, but
but if you've ever been in that Las Vegas heat, I mean, I about had myocarditis when I was there like about 5 years ago, just walking outside to the cab.
Yeah, but you were a senior citizen. You know what I mean?
Well,
he's like an
that's
18-year-old athlete. So,
That's
but the other
true.
thing is why they're being disingenuous is they're saying it's rare. Death from COVID is rare. It was like 1%. Even if if something happens to 1% of the people, that's rare. 1%. And murder, I think America is 330 million people, and there's like 20,000 murders. So that's statistically irrelevant. It's rare, but are we going to pretend murder doesn't matter? Right. So that word is kind of a weasel word. It could mean what you're saying, or it could mean that it's doubling what it should have been, but that's still rare, and we shouldn't care about it.
Well, when it comes to the CDC, though, one thing that I find interesting, and I wear a permanent tinfoil hat. You know that, baby. Because I'm 70, I don't believe anything anybody tells me. But, the permanent thing they say is to really check out what these Undertakers are saying, how the death rate went up in what population, for the Undertakers know it. And they say it's through the roof of people, and insurance companies say it too. Their stuff went up 100 million points of people.
That could be COVID.
But I don't believe.
No, it's people dying from myocarditis. Whatever you say.
Here's the thing. I don't believe that 5 years ago that there were enough news articles of young athletes getting myocarditis and possibly dying. I don't think this was a thing.
Well, they was
Right.
dropping
No, I
dead
agree, I agree.
all over the place on soccer fields in South
That's what I'm
America,
saying. But I'm
all
saying
over
5
the
years.
place.
If they're trying to make it out, this has nothing to do with the vaccines. I don't think, and it's just we're just noticing it now. I don't think there would have been enough to notice 5 years
But
ago.
here's my question. Why is the immediate assumption it's vaccines and not that it was COVID? We know that
Well, that's
myocarditis,
true.
COVID does cause myocarditis.
Okay.
And we know that
That's true.
It was the alpha strain was super brutal, and then over time, as it started to mutate, it became less and less serious. The various strains, Omicron, whatever. So the first strains were nuts. So all these we see these documentaries like what was that one where they're pulling the clots out of the body?
Oh, yeah.
But
died suddenly?
Died suddenly. I saw that and I said, could COVID be doing this? And the weird thing to me about it is you've got this conspiracy theory, and I'm not saying that to be disparaging to people who don't trust big pharma. The idea being that there's these vaccines may be causing blood clots.
Right.
They call it the clot shot and stuff like that. And I'm like, here's a conspiracy theory. COVID was manufactured through gain of function research. Doc Fauci funded it. It was made in the lab. It leaked and is causing extreme reactions that we're seeing, which results in blood clots and myocarditis.
True.
What about that conspiracy theory?
Right.
I mean, that
I'll
could be.
accept that one.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I think also to your point, it's kind of telling that you're now in a position to make that question on air and not be shut down completely and totally. Now, there's two possibilities. One, people push back enough, they're like, okay, or that there's enough data that what you're just asking about can no longer just be pretended to be just tinfoil hat nonsense.
Well, it's proven. It's fact.
one thing that a lot of the liberals brought up in counter to, vaccine starts trending when Bronny James has this news breaks, and a bunch of liberals are like, hey, COVID causes myocarditis. And it does. And it did. Like well before the vaccines, we were seeing it. I don't know if there's enough news
But I
stories.
don't feel like it would cause it in young people and young athletes. If it might cause it in someone who's older and weaker already, but like if the whole thing with COVID is it's not targeting young people, and in fact, children.
Well, we don't
almost
know that though.
Well, we know in terms of the death rates and things like that.
Well, but death rate's not the same as transmission.
I could see
Sure.
like
I read a study that said that a lot of infants, that are born dead. I can't remember the word for it.
Stillborn.
Stillborn. They have heart issues from mother.
In utero?
their
Yeah.
So we don't know if that's that the mother had COVID or that she got
I was talking
vaccinated either.
Yeah, I had Count Dankula on my show, and he was talking about the rates of stillbirth and miscarriage in Scotland was like through the roof.
Yeah,
but that
through
could
the
be
roof.
COVID.
That could be covered.
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
I'm just saying, but the thing is, it's not nothing.
Right,
So
right,
the
right.
whole point is that
Absolutely.
the argument is this isn't really happening or just noticing it. Just because you can't think of the cause doesn't
Right.
mean the consequence is not occurring.
But we should be open to
Exactly.
discussing and like using scientific method rather than getting in big fist fights over it's this or that. We should be open to finding out what the hell is.
And I don't think it's a partisan issue. Like
I
when
don't
people
think
are
it is
dying,
either.
it's not. I mean, this has nothing to do with
Well,
Republicans.
makes you-
but look,
But
Democrat,
they make everything into a partisan fight.
Democrat governors
Somebody
put
wants to.
COVID patients in nursing homes and killed elderly people.
Well,
they were
they
warned
definitely
it would
killed
happen.
the old people, definitely.
Cuomo was warned explicitly.
Right.
The Javits Center and the Comfort were available for housing sick people, and he
Right.
was like, put them in the nursing homes. And they said, if you do that, elderly people will contract COVID, they will die.
Mm-hmm.
He did it anyway. And then you had
what's the excuse
someone
for that.
he must have done a calculated risk. Like if we don't do it, this many people could die. If we do
Javits
it,
Center.
less people will die.
Javits Center.
Yeah.
It wasn't even at capacity. It was they converted it into a hospital. I
But
think
And
you
you
thought-
know that they I've heard this. I don't know that it's fact, but I've seen it reported as fact that hospitals did get a payoff for every death. That
Yes,
they
yes, that's true. Oh, yeah.
Listed as a
20
COVID
here's
death.
here's
26,000
here's what I
or
want to say about we have this debate over like DeSantis and Trump, and this conversation comes up, and people often point to Trump was buddy with Fauci, and Trump did Operation Warp Speed, and I just want to say look, I like experimental medicine a lot. Trump was in favor of right to try.
Right.
It's a good thing. Government mandates are a bad thing.
Right.
Corporations mandating people get a medication, and the government through circuitous methods or direct methods forcing it is the problem.
Yeah.
Trump funding whatever. I'm like, if I'm not forced to do anything, I don't really care, right? I mean, fine, whatever. I don't like the big pharmaceuticals, massive multinational corporations. But I recently just went to Tijuana and got experimental medication to treat my damaged hip, and it helped me out greatly. But I chose it. So yeah, I don't like the my view is not to rag on Trump because he funded experiments. It's to rag on the politicians and the executives who are forcing people to get medicated.
Right. Exactly.
Is it just me, or does it seem like people criticize Trump for not being a libertarian, even though they're not libertarians? Like, to think that Trump wouldn't want the government to do something would be really kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, because Donald Trump's not a small government kind of guy. He was never that kind of dude. He knew how to work the government in New York to be able to get at least some buildings built and stuff. So the idea that Donald Trump needs to be held accountable in the way that you would hold a libertarian accountable seems off to me.
I think they're more trying to hold him accountable for trusting people that he should have known are nefarious.
Fair.
That's the issue. I think. I can't speak for Trump supporters.
Well, who else was he going to trust? It's not like there was anybody decent to choose from. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought on Bolton. I think that was because one of his donors wanted him to bring on John Bolton, and then Bolton stabs in the back.
Yeah.
Trump brought on so many dumb people.
Well,
Like
Rex
Fauci,
Tillerson.
though, is the dumbest guy. Fauci is the most wrong guy. Remember with AIDS? Fauci, remember back then?
Well, I don't remember it, but I've read a lot about it
because
since
you're
then.
not that old.
I've been going down
I
this.
do, and my brother's gay, and I remember when AIDS was the big thing, and Fauci was the problem then, too.
Yeah, I just finished watching this superb miniseries from back in the day called Angels in America about the AIDS
Yeah.
crisis
Oh,
in New
yeah.
York. And I think I might even write a book about it at some point, because I think people have forgotten how dark it was, and
Very
it was
dark.
a joke because it was happening to them, and like ha ha ha. And it's really, if you look back, it was extremely disturbing how this population was treated, and like just almost applauded.
I heard a conspiracy theory about the MMR vaccine in 1980. They established and they distributed a mass distribution of the MMR vaccine, some new vaccine, and this is the conspiracy theory, is that it was tainted with HIV.
Right, I
And
heard that.
a lot of people got it, but
Well-
most people were able to fight it off. It was the people doing poppers and partying till 5 a.m. that got really sick,
Which you
and then
can't
they were
talk
like,
about, yeah.
"Gay, it's the
Well-
gay," and it's like, no, it's because their bodies were weakened.
But we don't need that conspiracy because we know that Bayer had tainted hemophilia medication. I mean,
Yes.
that's historically
Yeah.
fact.
Well, have you heard of Celia Farber?
Uh-uh.
She's a great journalist, and she went back in the 90s when I was on my show. She brought me evidence. She's a prize-winning journalist, and she had traced it back to the Salk vaccine, the place in Africa where they tested on those children. The Salk and the Sabin polio vaccine is the same place where AIDS originated.
This is it's like a dangerous YouTube subject either way because I'm not inclined to immediately say that vaccines caused whatever. There's so many conspiracy theories.
No,
about
but
all
I'm
this
just saying,
medication.
like, experimenting on a captive population is always bad.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
But so I just watched Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie. Queen, such an amazing band. Bohemian Rhapsody, is it the greatest song of all time?
Yes,
perhaps.
absolutely.
And so I'm watching it.
We built this city is the greatest.
That's
song
a
of all
good
time.
song.
No,
Jefferson
he was the
Starship.
greatest singer ever, Freddie Mercury.
You think so?
And
He's your favorite?
Yeah.
Queen is so good. And especially after watching that movie, I'm listening to all their songs again after all this time, and I'm like eclectic.
Yes, that's
and
the
just
thing about them. Yeah.
poetic,
Operatic.
just so amazing, and
Groundbreaking.
This may be a little crass, but I love "Don't Stop Me Now." But every time I listen to that, I'm like, on second thought, someone should have stopped that guy.
Oh God, Tim, that's a Michael Malice joke. Good
But-
Lord.
But I'm not saying to be mean. I'm not saying it as a joke. I
Can't stop
literally,
Freddie.
people should have been like,
Someone should have at least moderated him.
But this is just
maybe
like,
not
hey.
stop him, but
But that wasn't the times. I mean, it was
pump the
all
brakes.
excess.
But Michael's over here. He's very laughing. He likes it. But I'm not saying it's a joke. I'm saying it. This guy was doing drugs. He was partying nonstop all the time. That destroys his immune system. He contracts HIV, and I'm just like, it's such a brutal thing. But my point is, when it comes to these conspiracy theories about what really happened, I'm like, these stories are all people who, as like Ian pointed out, are doing a bunch of drugs all the time.
Rock and roll
They're having
happened to him.
tons
Yeah.
of sex all the time.
AZT
Wait,
was
hold on.
like,
But
course they're
let me-
contracting
we have
STDs.
actually a control group for this because we have someone here who had that level of fame. So when you were like at the top of your power, how would someone have put you in check if they wanted to? Because like when you're like Freddie Mercury level, I feel like no one can tell you anything.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
If they try, you're out of there.
Right.
You're not going to tell me. I made this money. This is my money, and I'll do with it as I choose.
Yeah.
And
right.
that's how it is. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
were just
And most people, like, they end up dead. That is the truth.
No, but my point is not that you could have stopped Freddie Mercury. My point is that
No, I hear you, but I'm just saying
Where
it's
does it-
interesting we can actually talk to someone at that level of
couldn't
fame.
be
I just-
stopped. I wouldn't let nobody stop
no,
me.
but right. But my point is not that he could have been stopped. My point is how does this disease come about? Because these people can't be stopped. Like
Right.
these celebrities, ultra rock stars, promiscuous.
They don't want to
doing
stop.
drugs.
It's a big suicidal trip. It's like, hey, you've reached the peak and you've done everything there is to do. You don't want to downslide now. You're not going back. You're going out.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.